So I want to cover the tween command. And now the tween command isn't like the loft or the sweep command. It doesn't create surfaces or any type of geometry. It's a pretty simple, straightforward command, um, but it is part of the curve command that we can use to generate that will help quite a bit to generate um, forms. So it'll help us a lot with the lofts. It can help us a lot with the sweep commands, and it's a great tool just to know just by itself. So simply put, the tween command will create a curve. We'll take two. We'll take sorry, it'll take two curves, and it will create a new curve in between. That is the tween in between two sets of curves, essentially two sets of lines. So in other words, I'm sure that sounds confusing. So tween curves, we'll select the start and end curve. So here's the start, here's the end. Actually, let's go ahead and change this to 1. Okay, and there we go. So it generated this curve, right, and placed it at the midpoint, and it's essentially the middle of these two curves that we've created. Okay, so the tween curve creates a curve in between two pre-made sets of lines, right? How is this useful? Well, one, it can definitely help in when we're creating lofts and we're trying to clean up the tools. You remember in the sweep tutorial, we had some of those issues with, when when the geometry was overlapping and it started to create these kind of funky surfaces in between. Um, the tween curve definitely helps to generate and to simplify the curvature between two sets of lines. The other thing we could do is, and you saw it already, when we go to tween, select the start and the end, we could define how many lines to generate in between those two lines. So right now it's set to 1, but if we change this to say 20, right, hit enter. Now we have 20 sets of lines or 20 lines in between our start and end lines that we've created, right? Um, which is pretty interesting, pretty cool. So how do we use this to create and generate forms? Well, actually, let's just delete this. I'm going to move this over here right on top of it, and let's go up, let's say 10 feet. Okay. And I can select these two and do the tween. The tween curve works. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. It's essentially, let's go back. Tween curves. Here's the start. Here's the end. There we go. And hit enter. So the tween curve works vertically just as well as horizontally. Okay. I'm going to start off, this right here gives me a much smoother loft. So if I wanted to take this and loft this, okay, let's go ahead and compare. Here, let's cancel this actually. Let's take this one and this one. I'm going to copy this over. So we're going to loft these two, hit OK, and we'll loft all of these. Okay. Now, you could kind of see this curve here. It gives me a much smoother curvature, and it's more defined than say this one is. Okay, so that's one. But what I'm going to do now, let's take this, and I'm actually going to put it on a separate layer because I'm going to hide it. I want to hide it for a minute. Don't do this. Well, no. Don't do this. Just leave it. We should be naming these layers, but just for the right now, let's go change object layer, and then we'll go ahead and hide it. Okay. So as I mentioned, the tween curve doesn't actually generate form. However, we know that curves themselves can be extruded. So I could actually take each one of these. Actually, let me figure out the distance right now between each one. About 5 3/4. So let's go ahead and take each one, and we could extrude curve. Okay. And I can go up, let's go up 4 inches. Okay. And now we have these individual surfaces. Well, we know that surfaces could be offset. So let's select all this. Okay. Now we do want to make sure that all of the arrows are are facing the same direction. If not, then this is going to offset in this direction. This surface is going to offset in the opposite direction. So all I need to do is just click on the surface and you can see there that it flipped. And make sure we don't have, okay. So they're all facing to the right. Oops, I accidentally, well, that can work. I accidentally clicked on the mouse. I right clicked on the mouse, which is the equivalent of enter. Um, I wanted to specify a distance, but I believe 4 inches. And let me undo this. Let's go offset surface again. I'm going to flip that, hit, and then change the distance. The distance I want it to be, say, 3 inches. And then hit enter. There we go. That's that's really what I wanted. Okay. And so now we have essentially a surface, right? A surface in of itself, all just using the curve command. Now, if this was, let's say, a wall type or a wall surface, we could turn one of these maybe into, I don't know, a a bar, right? We could take one of these. We can go ahead and explode it. So we could select the surface and we could actually expand this further and we'll offset the surface. All right, let's go 18 inches and enter. And there we go. Now we have a bar, right? If we wanted to, we could actually join. This is going to be a little bit tricky. We want to make sure to grab all of the surfaces and not miss any. So let me go ahead and selected all that. Type in join. Nope. Let's try it again. Let's do these two, join. I'm probably missing the bottom surface there. I'm trying to do it so that I don't accidentally, well, you know what? Why don't we do this? Let's just select this and then I'll hold down the control key to deselect that. Join, and then let's try the Boolean union. Still, I'm probably missing one on this side. Oh, what is that line down there? So I accidentally selected that line. There we go. So it's trying to join a line that wasn't connected. So now let's try join. Come on. Hopefully there. And of course, now it's not working. All right, we'll just leave it as is. I'm not sure. Now it's going to bother me. So if we select each surface, start from the back there, there, there. We join, and then we Boolean union. There we go. See, I knew it should have worked. So I just had to make sure that I selected each surface individually. But now we have an interesting wall surface along that has kind of a bar sticking out that can be used, right? I'm going to bring back my surface, the one that I had hidden, because now I could take that surface and I could offset that surface. Make sure it's all going in the same direction. And we're going to offset this. Let's go 6 inches. Let's say it's a wall. Okay. And let's delete that just because it's sticking out. I mean, you could leave it, but it's sticking out right there. And just with that, we have essentially, let's go into render view, might be easier. We have a wall that has a wall kind of texture to it. Okay. And if we want to keep expanding on this, we could easily, let's say, draw a rectangle. We'll take this extrude curve. I don't know. Now I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Let's go there. I'm going to take this and move this to right there. I'm going to move this kind of center there. Let's go to something like that, right? And now we could use the Boolean difference. Why am I typing it? Boolean difference. Select all of this. I want to deselect the bar because I don't want to. Nope. This is where it gets tricky. There we go. Deselect the bar. Hit enter, and then select the rectangle. Hit enter. And there we have now an opening, right? Where we can go ahead and enter, we can go ahead and place a window in here. Okay. And so again, just like that, with the tween command, we were able to create these kind of patterns, or not patterns, so the kind of these I guess you call them like slabs, profiles that follow along a curved wall, right? Which then can be used to and extruded outward. Um, so that's one of the nice things about the tween command. Okay.